All right, folks, it's the final hour of the Monday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show, and we'll be joined by my friend Michael Meyers, President and Executive Director of the New York Civil Rights Coalition, to talk about Donald Sterling, free speech, and privacy. Then the Malzberg panel joins us again. Then Jerry Sandusky, sports director at WBAL-TV in Baltimore, Maryland, who has a great new book called Forgotten Sundays. You're not going to want to miss that. All that, Gimme 5, and so much more on this hour of the Steve Malzberg Show right here on Newsmax Television.
Ready, fire away.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Well, it's very hard to talk about this guy on MSNBC because I can't say can I? Is that a word? Okay, so I'll call him an ass. I think it's a great thing that all of America agrees and can gather around that fact, because I've lived through a number of racial comment controversies, and it wasn't always that way. So, I mean, it's their league. They can do what they want. People still have the right to be an ass.
All right, and he certainly might qualify as one. Joining us now is Michael Meyers, director of the New York Civil Rights Coalition, who just co-authored a piece with the former head of the New York branch of the ACLU, Norman Siegel, for HuffPo on this very issue. Michael, great to see you, sir.
Good to see you again.
Always glad to have you in. All right. By the way, Bill Maher happens to be a minority owner of the New York Mets, and he gets away with using the C word on Republican women. He gets away with everything, and that's another issue for another time. But just that, I would hope somebody one day will notice that beside me and make an issue of that. But you guys, in a weird kind of way, kind of agree.
No.
No? Okay.
No, because Bill Maher doesn't really agree.
Yeah, that's true. He's saying it for a fact.
He says, for example, that everybody agreed on this thing, maybe unless he's being sarcastic. Everybody doesn't agree on this. And the problem is that the paternalistic media, they have focused on those who agree with them. And that is that Sterling should be banned and for life, and plus fined $2.5 million. And some of us, I think a majority, but you would never know that by the paternalistic media. The majority of us believe that free speech and privacy are fundamental values of America. And we should be able to say anything we want without being punished. Now, First Amendment is government. Government is our protection against the government acting against us. In terms of free speech, though, particularly in the privacy of one's home, what kind of standard is it when the commissioner of the NBA says, "Oh, I listened to the audio tapes and I was personally hurt. I was wounded by those words, and I'm going to not just suspend him. I'm going to banish him for life. I'm going to give him $2.5 million fine." Nobody really complained about that. Even one of the NBA owners said in the beginning, was opening the door to a slippery slope.
Mark Cuban said slippery slope.
And he changed his mind.
Well,
I mean, he didn't change his mind after all the crowd comes. But he changed his mind about the punishment. He accepted the punishment for Sterling.
Right.
The question is, if he gets caught, if anybody gets caught in the privacy of their home being taped, you don't have to be in your privacy of your home anymore because people can tape you anywhere now. Your private thoughts, your most personal thoughts, your bedroom conversations. This is worse than a slippery slope. This is a trap door, especially for minorities, especially for blacks who talk all the time, for example, about loving black, being black, staying with black, sticking with black, and that is racism too. But nobody's going to come after them. You know why? Because they're paternalistic and they're racist.
Well, let me give you a point. Chris Paul, who re-signed with the Clippers before this current season, he reportedly, according to the New York Post, and they quoted unnamed multiple sources within the league, said, "If you want me to sign with the Clippers, stay with the Clippers, whatever, I want a black coach." Okay, now to me, that's racist. Imagine a white player saying, "I want a white coach." I'm not saying it's equivalent to Donald Sterling, but here's the thing. You're absolutely right in that whether or not he consented to being taped in his own house, although that might change it a little bit. Yeah. But I think not only that, look what they did to the CEO of Mozilla. Now, not only what they say, NBA owners, or I think now you're going to have some people go and look what campaign card, who they contributed to, what they do with their money, who they supported, what they supported, and what they might have said. They'll Google every article. And what's to stop that from happening? This is a Pandora's box.
It is. It's a trapdoor. And I'm telling you that you can Google anybody's comments at any time, take it out of context, or put it in context. But I'm telling you, if you can be banned for life for racist comments, you can be banned for life for homophobic comments. You've got people now who are now openly gay and declaring themselves openly gay, playing ball. Now the commissioner of every sport's going to say, wait a minute, we have to have a situation where everybody agrees about same-sex marriage. Or everybody doesn't agree about same-sex marriage. Everybody doesn't agree that everybody is equal. But that's your personal point of view. Yeah. I believe that everybody is equal, but that's my personal point of view. We can't have free speech for me and not thee.
But you say it's a trapdoor, especially for blacks, and you know, but will blacks be held, as I just pointed out, Chris Paul, for instance, as an example, will blacks be held to that same standard?
That depends, because of the facts and circumstances. For example, let's say that Jay-Z, who's married to Beyonce.
Look, he was a minority owner of the Nets.
Exactly.
And he wore
the pendant.
He wears the pendant, and Carmelo Anthony reportedly wears the pendant. And what we're talking about is a pendant that comes from an organization 5%. That says whites are the devils and blacks are superior.
And blacks are gods. G-O-D-S.
And nothing.
And nothing happens.
Right.
Because, it's paternalism. And I can tell you one more other thing, because, again, it's tough getting into the mainstream media to voice a dissenting opinion, unless you happen to be a columnist like Jason Whitlock, who wrote a very fantastic column, by the way. He wasn't titled, but the theme of it was Sex, Lies, and Audio Tapes. Right. But unless you're a columnist, rare, with a different point of view, it's tough breaking through the mainstream media. Even we, Norman Siegel and I, published all the time. We try to get our piece in early. We try to get the fact in that we sent a letter to the NBA commissioner, Silver, telling him, don't do this. Free speech and privacy values.
And you're coming from out. You're an African American. He's as you put in your column, he's a Caucasian Jew, and he was the ACLU. And you're both opposite ends here almost.
My point is that we couldn't break through the mainstream media to get our viewpoint in.
Right.
Not
nobody
just one line. Nobody would report it. So it seems like everybody, as Bill Maher was saying, everybody on CBS, on Face the Nation on Sunday, everybody agrees. Everybody agrees with those people who they put on TV. Everybody agrees with those people they put in the newspapers. And I'm telling you, I'm going to comment now, and you can edit me out. I'm going to talk to my friend. I'm going to talk to my friend and buddy, the owner of the New York Daily News.
Mort Zuckerman?
Mort Zuckerman.
Go ahead.
Now, I already talked to Mort Zuckerman. Now, you read the Daily News, you would never know it was on the other side. When we sent our op-ed to the Daily News, the op-ed page said, oh, I'm too busy to even consider it. Now, if you look at the Daily News, they can be accused of racism and sexism. You know why? Because on their editorial board in 2014, there are no women, there are no blacks, there are no Hispanics. There are no Asians on the editorial board. They're all white men. Hey, Mort, I'm going to embarrass you. I just did. You got to do something before they come after you.
Yeah, well,
and they're going to come after you now, Mort.
That's a very interesting.
They're going to come after your friend Al Sharpton's going to come after you.
Very interesting. Very interesting point. Okay, let me ask you this. You know, well, speaking of Al Sharpton, in my mind, he led the charge. He's the first one I recall ever saying this, and maybe it's just my own editing of what I hear, redefining racism. Because it's now almost accepted that you can't be racist unless you are powerful, unless you could affect somebody's life. Now, how that started, it's caught on. It started with Sharpton, it's caught on, and that's why, an NBA player can't be racist because who could he affect? He can't fire anybody. Now, an owner, he could be racist because he could fire somebody. How ridiculous is that?
Well, you can be racist if you're black.
Of course, you can be racist obviously. If you're a bum in the street. No offense to people in the street, you know what I mean.
Look at Spike Lee.
By the way, I take that back. I didn't mean bum in the street. You know what I meant. Right. I mean someone in the street who has no job, who's walking around, who doesn't like blacks, or doesn't like whites, or doesn't like yellows. He could be racist.
No. Well, Al Sharpton didn't start that. That was way back in the '60s when people said, when they started writing books about look out, whitey, black power is going to get your mama. Right. Black people can't be racist because black people don't have any power.
Right.
Well, black people, by the way, do have power. Well, the president of the United States is black. No, he does have power, and the Attorney General who's black and a racist. But you know, people. The point is that blacks, even if you don't have power, can be racist. I tell you, I used to write about these things in Afrocentric studies and stuff. They have schools that tell black children, teach them, inoculate them in the whole idea that you should love black, be black, pray black, stay with blacks. That's racism.
Yeah. All right, let me let you hear another cut. Speaking of racism, another kind of racism. This is Congressman Bernie Thompson speaking about the fact that he called Clarence Thomas an Uncle Tom. Here it is.
Clarence Thomas saying that he was an Uncle Tom. What did you mean by that?
Well, if you look at his decisions on the court, they have been adverse to the minority community, and the people I represent have a real issue with an African American not being sensitive to those issues.
Calling him an Uncle Tom, though, isn't that a racially charged term?
For some it is, but to others it's the truth.
All right.
Anybody who disagrees with them is something. Uncle Tom, Aunt Thomasina, whatever it is. They are the only ones who speak the truth. And they are the ones who the media love. They adore them. So anybody who thinks critically, anybody who doesn't think racially, anybody who has an opinion that's not racial, if you're black, you have to toe the line. Well, I dissent from that. I dissent from it because it's lunacy. It's craziness.
It's racist to assume, or as a white person, it's racist to, I would think, it's racist to assume that this is how blacks should think in the first place. So it's calling someone an Uncle Tom or whatever because they don't think like blacks should think is a form of racism, just not even calling the name, but just thinking that, well, all blacks should think the same way.
Absolutely right. Nobody should, no group thinks alike.
Right, of course not.
It's groupthink. It's like, you know, it's this whole thing now, for example, the black male, and it's sort of like when they talk about, they stereotype blacks, just like they stereotype Jews. Jews didn't disagree. Blacks disagree.
God. Jews disagree.
Catholics disagree. Why all of a sudden only you have the people who represent the point of view of an Al Sharpton or Michael Eric Dyson, does the President of the United States and the Attorney General of the United States give them power? Right. Enlighten them, give them credibility. Why?
Well, look, Harry Reid said that, and I'm paraphrasing, said that Marco Rubio is not a true Hispanic. When Sarah Palin was nominated by John McCain, one of the Now people immediately said, might as well be a white male. So if you're a conservative woman, you're not really a woman. If you're a conservative black, you're not a black. If you're conservative Hispanic, and we had a openly gay Republican candidate for Congress from San Diego who said that he's getting, they're photoshopping his head, putting it on vulgar other pictures, and it's progressives and liberals doing it. So if you're, I guess if you're a gay Republican, you're not really gay. I mean, where does it end?
Well, it doesn't end. And that's why I really want to have a conversation about race. I want to have a conversation about idiocy. I don't want to have a conversation about race on their terms.
All right, Condi Rice refused, not refused, she backed out. Do you think she should have? She just said she didn't want to make it about herself because professors protested. A handful of students protested her commencement address, calling her a war criminal, etc. The most successful, arguably, black woman in the history of this country who had such a wonderful story to tell, and she can't be a commencement speaker.
It goes back to the issue of free speech and what's being taught on these college campuses through practice. They teach a lot of stuff in the classroom, but through practice, they violate the principles and the values of free speech every day. And because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear from people who disagree with them. They don't want to hear people who are politically incorrect. Except for Bill Maher.
Or should she have made a point
No, she should have gone. But, hey, it's her decision, but the university is the one that failed. The university should have stuck by her and said, we insist for you to come. And then there should have been protests on the other side. Where were the students who believe in free speech?
How about paying her anyway?
I don't think she needs the money.
No, but as a matter of, okay, you backed out, we're sorry, we're paying you anyway. Would that be a nice gesture?
I don't like gestures.
Okay.
I like people standing for principles. She should have come to Rutgers, and Rutgers should have said, we want you here.
Gotcha.
The other students should have, why is it only the other side can protest?
I know.
How come we can't protest?
Michael, great talking to you.
It's good talking to you.
Michael Meyers, ladies and gentlemen, a man of great common sense and vision and guts to say what he says in this world of ours today. All right, we're coming back with the panel right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television. Thank you very much. Really great scene.